Hello, students. It's Uncle C once again, and I welcome you to our weekend class. In this season of Christmas, where we commemorate the birth of Christ, CNC Education Consult, we wish you all a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. And we hope you are having a wonderful holiday. As you make merry, remember to also study, because constant study and little play will help you to be able to realize your dreams and become a better person. Now, today we are studying mathematics, and the topic we are discussing is subtraction of fractions. Subtraction of fractions. My expectation, as usual, at the end of today's lesson, learners should be able to subtract unlike fractions using a step-by-step approach. At the end of this lesson, learners should be able to subtract unlike fractions using a step-by-step approach. Now, without wasting much time, the last time we met, where I took you through addition of unlike fractions, I remember I gave you certain steps to follow when you are adding unlike fractions. And unlike fractions, I explained them to you as fractions having different denominators. Fractions having different denominators. The denominators are the numbers written at the down of every fraction. So for instance, the fraction here, 3 over 5 and then 2 over 10, the denominators are 5 and 10. Now, adding these fractions or adding fractions, I remember I told you that the denominators need to be the same. If they are not the same, then you must make them the same. After making them the same, you then add the numerators and maintain one of the denominators. How do you go by that? I remember I taught you step by step, but just a quick review before we look at today's lesson. So first, you find the common denominator of the numbers by, first of all, finding the LCM. The LCM is the least common multiple, the least common multiples of the two denominators. So after you have found the least common multiple, you now divide the least common multiple by the denominators and multiply them by the numerators. You divide the least common multiple by the denominators and multiply them by the numerators. After that, go straight to add the two numerators and maintain one of the denominators, because they are now common. So I want to give you a trial. Just try this for the addition. So let's say you have 1 over 3 plus 2 over 6. I want you to try this, taking into consideration the processes I took you through when last we did addition of fractions. These are fractions having different denominators, so they are unlike fractions. How do you solve this? So I want you to solve it, get a correct answer, post it to the comment section, and then I shall look at it and then see whether it goes in line. Thank you very much. Now, without wasting much time, let's look at subtraction of fractions. That is the lesson for today. And you can't subtract fractions without getting to understand the unlike and then like fractions. I already explained that for addition of fractions. So unlike fractions, I'm saying it again, fractions having different denominators. Fractions whose denominators are not the same, we call them unlike fractions. So for instance, when you look on the board here, you can see these fractions: 3 over 4, 2 over 10. These two fractions, their denominators are different. Now, the first fraction has a denominator of 5, and the second fraction has a denominator of 10. So this is an example of unlike fractions, because the denominators are different. Another example here is also 4 over 8 and then 1 over 16. Here the denominator is 8 and here the denominator is 16. So this is another example of unlike fraction because the denominators are different. Can you mention more or give more examples of unlike fractions? That is just by the way. Let's dive into the lesson. So we are to subtract unlike fractions. And don't forget, for the addition of fractions, the same steps used there, or the same approach we use there, is the same approach we are using here. The approach we use for the addition of fractions is the same approach we are using for subtraction of fractions. The only difference here is that the symbol has changed from addition to subtraction. So here, instead of addition sign, we have subtraction sign. Instead of addition sign, we have subtraction sign. So that is the only difference. Apart from the change in symbols, it is definitely the same process or the same step. So go back to your note and review the steps I've taught you when adding unlike fractions. So now let's see. This 3 over 5. 3 over 5 minus 2 over 10. 3 over 5 minus 2 over 10. This is an example of unlike fraction. 4 over 8 minus 1 over 16. These are all examples of unlike fractions. And we are to add. If you are to solve this fraction, or to, sorry, not to add, you are to subtract. If you are to subtract this fraction, what do you do? What are the steps? Taking into consideration what we have already learned for addition of fraction. So we go. Now, there is an example here, or there is a trial for you to look at. Solve 5 over 6 minus 1 over 4. Solve 5 over 6 minus 1 over 4. Don't forget, it is no longer addition, but subtraction. It is no longer addition, but subtraction. So what do you do? Learners, this fraction, the first thing you do is you make the denominators, you make them the same. The denominators 6 and 4, you make them the same. How do you do that? You make them the same by finding the LCM of the two. The LCM of these two denominators. You find the LCM. And when we talk of LCM, LCM is least common multiple. Least common multiple. So how do we do that? 6 and 4, that is the first step. So we find the LCM to be able to get the common denominators for these two fractions. So let's see. First, we do that by finding the multiples of the numbers. 6. So 6, 12, 18, 24, etc. Good. Then we go for and find the multiples of 4 as well. So multiples of 4, we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and so on. Now, when you look here, you see that when we talk of the least common multiple, first of all, you look at the multiples of 6 and you look at the multiples of 4 to see which of the numbers are recurring, or which of the numbers can you see in multiples of 6 and see that same number in multiples of 4. So let's check. There is 4 here, there is 6 there. They are not the same. There is 8 here, there is no 8 there. So they are not the same. But there is 12 in multiples of 6 and there is 12 in multiples of 4. There is 12 in multiples of 6 and then there is 12 in multiples of 4. So we can say that the common multiples of 6 and 4 are 12. When you go further, you may find other common multiples, but so long as those multiples are more than 12, we settle on 12 as the LCM for 6 and 4. We settle on 12 as the LCM for 6 and 4. So now we have found the LCM of 6 and 4, which is 12. So now we have our 12 here. What next? Let's go to step 2. Step 2 is saying divide the LCM by the denominators. Divide the LCM by the denominators and multiply by the numerators. Divide the LCM by the denominators and multiply by the numerators. So the LCM that you have found here, 12, which is the LCM for 6 and 4, we are now dividing that LCM by the denominators. So we take the denominators one after the other. The first denominator is 6. The second denominator is 4. So we start. The LCM 12 divided by 6. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 12 divided by 6 is 2. Then we multiply the 2 by 5, which is the numerator. I take that again, learners. The LCM 12, we divide it by 6. 12 divided by 6 is 2. Then we multiply the 2 by 5. So 2 multiplied by 5, which is the 5 is the numerator. So 2 times 5 is 10. So it is times 2. So 2 times 5 is 10. So we have our 10 here. Now we come to the second denominator. So 12, which is the LCM, we divide it again by the second denominator, 4. So 12 divided by 4. 12 divided by 4 is what, learners? Oh, that is wonderful. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. 12 divided by 4 is 3 because 4 times 3 is 12. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. Then we multiply the 3 by the numerator 1. We multiply the 3 by the numerator 1. So 3 times 1 is 3. So we have 3 here. Now our fraction will now change because of what we just did. The fraction will no longer look like this. It will no longer be 5 over 6 minus 1 over 4. But now it is going to look this way. 10 over 12 minus 3 over 12. Now we have common denominators. Now the denominators are the same. So the rule says that when the denominators are the same, then you subtract the numerator and maintain one of the denominators for the fraction. The rule says that when the denominators are the same, you go ahead and subtract the numerators and then maintain one of the denominators. That's what we are doing. So let's see. That is already here. The step 3 says subtract the new numerators 10 and 3 and maintain one of the common denominators 12. So 10 minus 3, let's do it together. 10 minus 3. 10 minus 3 is what? 10 take away 3. It is 7. So 7 over one of the denominators, 12. 7 over 12. So now we can comfortably, we can comfortably say that 5 over 6 minus 1 over 4 is the answer is 7 over 12. 7 over 12. That is the answer. But now, there is another step. If the answer here is not in its simplest form, you can go ahead and reduce the answer to its simplest form. How do you do that? You do that by looking, by checking if there is a common factor, if there's a number that can divide the numerator and divide the denominator, or if the numerator that is there can divide itself and then divide the denominator, then you reduce the fraction into its simplest form. I'll take that again. I said after you have reached here, this level, that is not the end. Some questions demand that you reduce the answer to its simplest form. Now, reducing the answer to its simplest form only happens if there is a common factor or if there is a number that can divide the denominator and divide the numerator. That is what we call the common factor. A number that can divide the denominator and divide the numerator. Or if the numerator can divide itself and then divide the denominator without any remainder, then you do that division and reduce the answer to its simplest form. But in this case, 7 is not, there is no number that can divide 7 and divide 12 without a remainder. or 7 cannot divide itself and divide 12 without a remainder. So we leave our answer at this stage, 7 over 12. 7 over 12 is our answer. So it means 5 over 6 minus 1 over 4, the final answer is 7 over 12. 7 over 12. I encourage you to always have the step-by-step approach in mind. The only way you can conquer these simple fractions, subtraction of fractions and so on, is by practicing more using the step-by-step approach. Practicing more using the step-by-step approach. The subtraction of fraction, the same step we use for addition of fraction, is the same thing we use here. The only difference, as I said, is the change in symbol. Here, the symbol is minus. That is the only difference. Apart from that, it is the same step we use in adding fractions that we use in subtracting fractions. So I encourage you to bear in mind. Now, let's look at another example, taking the same steps. Let's look at another example, taking the same steps. So, let's see. Okay. Now, let's try another example and then see. So, we are looking at these two. These very two. But let's take the first one and see. So, 3 over 5 minus 2 over 10. 3 over 5 minus 2 over 10. So, we have our solution. 3 over 5 minus 2 over 10. 3 over 5 minus 2 over 10. Same steps we go. We look for, the first thing to do is to look for a common denominator. Common denominator. We do that by finding the LCM of the denominator. So the LCM of 5 and 10, we find that by first the multiple. So 5, 10, 15, 20, etc. Then we go to 10. 10, 20, 30, and so on. So now 10 and 10 are common here, and they are the lowest or the least. So the LCM for 5 and 10 is 10. Then we divide the 10, we divide the denominator by, we divide the LCM by the denominator and multiply it by the numerator. We divide the denominator by the, we divide the LCM by the denominators and then multiply them by the numerator. So 10 divided by 5. 10 divided by 5 is what, students? 10 divided by 5. Okay. Thank you. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. So we have 6 minus. 10 divided by 10. 10 divided by 10 is what? 10 divided by 10 is what? Yes? Okay, that's wonderful. So 10 divided by 10 is 1. 1 times 2. 1 times 2. It is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. That's wonderful. So now our fraction will now look this way. 6 over 10 minus 2 over 10. Now we have common denominators. Now we have common denominators. So straightforward, we apply the rules for subtracting fractions. And what are the rules? Or what is the rule to apply here? Now the denominators are the same, common denominators. So what do? Yes, can anyone try? Oh, that's wonderful. So we straightforward subtract the numerators and maintain one of the denominators. So we have, it will be equal to 6. 6 minus 2 is what? 4. 6 take away 2 is 4. 10 minus 10. 10 minus 10 is what? Oh, sorry, not 10 minus 10. The rule says that we maintain one of the denominators. So we are not subtracting these two. We are not subtracting, we will maintain it. That is what the rule says, because they are the same, common denominator. So we maintain one of them, 10. So we now have 4 over 10. So it means 3 over 5 minus 2 over 10. The answer is 4 over 10. 4 over 10. Now the next step says that if there is a common factor, you can reduce this to the simplest form if there is a common factor. If there's a number that can divide both without any remainder, or if the numerator can divide itself and divide the 10 without any remainder. But there is, in this case, there is no common factor, so we maintain it at 4 over 10. 4 over 10. Students, I encourage you to practice. Practice will make you perfect. When you do this constantly, solving more questions, it will make you become the best. This is the basis of maths. It's everyday life, everyday living. I encourage you to practice and practice more so that you can be good at maths. You can be good at maths, because maths is actually not difficult. It's not a difficult subject at all. It needs constant practice. Thank you. Now, that is just by the way. I encourage you to do this and then be the best. Now, let me just take you through what we just did. We looked at subtraction of fractions. Subtraction of fractions, and not just fraction, but unlike fractions. Fractions having different denominators. And here the rule says that if the denominators are the same, you go straight forward to subtract the numerators and maintain one of the denominators. But if the denominators are different, then you must look for a common denominator. The first step, how do you do that? Looking for a common denominator, you must first of all go for or find the LCM, the least common multiple of the numbers. After finding the least common multiple of the numbers, you then do what? You then divide the LCM by the denominators and then multiply by the numerator. So you divide the denominators you divide the LCM by the denominators and then you multiply them by the numerators, just as we have done here. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So 2 multiplied by 3. So here is 2 times 3 is what gave us 6 here. Here also 10 divided by 10 is 1. So times 2. So 1 times 2 is what gave us the 2 here. Now we have a fraction having common denominator. So the 6 is now 6 over 10 minus 2 over 10. Now we can go straight forward to subtract the numerator. 6 minus 2 is 4, all over 10, which is one of the common denominators. Thank you very much. In case you are solving these questions and you find you encounter any problem, don't hesitate to send it to the comment section. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, CNC Edu Consult TV GH, and then CC Edu TV GH. We are on Facebook as CNC Education Consult, CNC Education Consult.Ghana. Tomorrow